still see you.
Ew.
No, can't.
For the love of God, hit the off button.
I'm sorry, this burger is so good.
Welcome to In Frame Out's Year in Film, where we take stock of 12 months of spectacular cinema and unfortunate rubbish. With the death rattle of December ringing in my ears, it's finally time to stand firm and knock some of the most indiscriminate dreck in entertainment down a peg or two. Having sung my songs of praise for the 10 best films of the year, let's scream into the god-awful abyss at entries 5 through 1 of our worst films of 2021.
You know who Urkel is.
How do you spell that?
You spell it Urkel. Are you kidding? Did I do that? Right? Does that ring up? Did I do that? Did I do that? You know that. Did I do that?
Melissa McCarthy and a flurry of other Judd Apatow adjacent comedy stars are getting increasingly called out for their over-reliance on drawn-out improvisational rambles in place of scripted, structured jokes, and rightfully so. Yet, for all her tiresome riffing, McCarthy's real kryptonite is her husband, writer-director Ben Falcone. If the 5 utterly dreadful collaborations with his wife and muse are anything to go by, Falcone's mission in life is to irrevocably damage his spouse's career one turd at a time. It's not just that Thunder Force is lung-collapsingly devoid of laughs, nor is this a mere case of phoning it in for those Netflix dollars. Both McCarthy and Falcone seem suicidally committed to crafting a comedy that actively discourages enjoyment.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
I'm an owl.
I'm an owl who?
I botched the owl thing. I think I'm the owl. And I think...
Oh.
Okay, knock, knock.
Who's there?
I'm an owl. I'm an owl who?
who?
That can't work because you say that part. Right?
Unless we're both owls.
That could be funny. Is that funny? Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, knock, knock.
Every juvenile rant, every sight gag that hit my eyes like a flashbang grenade, every time people just start screaming or yelling or singing because they mistake irritating for endearing, whenever anyone flapped their gaping maw, my fight or flight reflex kicked in as if someone had pulled a knife on me at the ATM. Thunder Force is a moronic, maliciously unfunny dirge. We can only pray they never make a sequel. Nicolas Cage may be In Frame Out's mad-eyed god of eccentricity and unpredictable acting, but as with any benevolent almighty, the Lord giveth and he taketh away. In a year where he got high off his own crazy with Prisoners of the Ghostland and moved me to tears with The Impeccable Pig, my man just couldn't resist the oppressively rotten Willys Wonderland. There's not one wondrous thing to be found in this dry, drab, and unapologetically dull house of horrors. You'd better open wide for many extended sequences of a completely mute Nicolas Cage playing pinball and cleaning toilets, because those are the highlights of this mechanical monstrosity. Everything else boils down to unintelligible fisticuffs between our rugged lead and some rancid robots, and a whole lot of shaking, lens-flaring car sickness. Willys Wonderland is a wannabe cult classic, one of those films that is trying to be so bad it's good on purpose. The fact that someone made something so tedious, so indescribably boring out of the premise, Nicolas Cage murders satanically infused animatronic animals, is tantamount to an act of treason, a crime which I cannot forgive, and sincerely hope I forget.
Shoot the ball!
On July 16, 1945, having witnessed the awesome power of the first atomic bomb, its chief architect Robert Oppenheimer remarked,
"Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
I wonder what Space Jam: A New Legacy's director Malcolm D. Lee thought when he rotoscoped Yosemite Sam into Casablanca. A New Legacy is dead behind the eyes cinema, a vacant, thousand-yard stare of an experience that feels more like an aggressive marketing pitch than a movie. The only thing more hideous than its early 2000s webcomic animation is its fingers down the throat CGI, all rendered with a slick-to-the-touch cynicism that drips from every frame like grease from a gas station hot dog. Then there's Space Jam 2: Colonic Irrigation's utter lack of self-awareness. This is a plot about an evil algorithm that wants to homogenize all art into a uniform ecosystem of soulless content delivery. Released as a cross-brand promotional tool by a company that is currently trying to homogenize all art into a uniform ecosystem of soulless content delivery. A dust bowl of originality where LeBron James has to learn the lesson that shortcuts are more important than hard work, and that the best way to win a game of basketball is to cheat. I don't have a clever sign-off for this segment. All I can say is Space Jam: A New Legacy made me miserable. Inconsolably, despairingly miserable.
It was just... Okay, it's okay. Music, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, shit. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. It's okay. Music.
Music may have been pipped to the post for the worst film of the year, but it is undoubtedly the most despicable.
Listen, here's the thing. I don't even care about AIDS. I don't care.
A glitter-glued, doe-eyed piece of poptimistic drivel, Music claims to be a love letter to the ASD community. In reality, it's an anthrax-stuffed envelope of dangerous misinformation and contemptible ignorance about the spectrum of autism. Strobe lights, rattling volume, rapid-fire edits, and luminous colours render huge chunks of the movie unsafe for those who suffer from sensory overload, audio aversion, or light sensitivity, meaning that Music is unsuitable for its main character and many members of its target audience. The fact that these abrasive musical numbers were only added because the studio offered writer-director Sia an extra $10 million if she'd willingly sell out the ASD community may be one of the most demonstrably hateful acts of greed I've ever seen.
And so I turned it into a musical, and then we got loads more money.
And that's before we discuss the fact that Music preaches the violent, prone restraint of autistic kids when they get upset. A universally condemned act of barbarism that has in reality killed multiple children. The rest is just an insipid Oscar bait clunker, anchored by Maddie Ziegler's twitching, guttural mockery of a performance. A turn she gave under duress as Sia encouraged her to lean further and further into the realms of inexcusable. Shame on Sia, shame on Music, and shame on me for giving this abhorrent garbage 1 second of my time.
Sometimes I wonder if God is just punishing me for all the terrible things that I've done in my life.
I don't think God works that way.
Many of you watching this video will never have heard of Vanquish. And to that I say, ignorance is bliss. For as fatally flawed, appallingly plotted, scabbed up and stupid all the other entries on this list have been, most, if not all of them, function in the most basic sense. Vanquish doesn't even clear the lowest bars of competence, and plumbs depths of ineptitude I've rarely seen since starting this channel. The opening credits are nearly 7 minutes long. A PowerPoint montage of newspaper clippings and ear puke exposition to make up for the fact that the remaining hour plus of this piss parade doesn't actually have a story to tell. Without exaggeration, this is how the whole ballet of bullshit plays out. Ruby Rose collects money. Something goes wrong and she kills everyone. We watch her ride a motorbike to Morgan Freeman's house to drop off the cash. Then Ruby Rose goes to collect the next lot of money, and so on and so forth until Freeman blows himself up, We cut to credits, and I start smashing my shin bone with a hammer just to see if I can still feel something. Freeman is housebound and confined to a wheelchair for the duration, only because it allowed him to shoot all his scenes in a couple of days, and he's blatantly reading every line of this Blood in the Stool screenplay from a cue card held up next to the camera. There's no purpose, reason, drive, or propulsion to anything. I didn't feel like I was watching a film, more like I was making myself an accomplice in some elaborate scam, a duplicitous fugazi only intended as a tax write-off or money laundering scheme.
It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
Oh, Fugazi. It's fake.
Yeah, fugazi. It's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a...
The editing is marred by cross-dissolve, after cross-dissolve, after cross-dissolve, after cross-dissolve, while every spurt of colour correction comes in two flavours: Mountain Dew Snot Explosion or Strip Club for the Criminally Insane. On the rare occasion that shots are both correctly framed and in focus, it still looks like a promotional Snapchat video for the shittiest synthwave band you've never heard. For all these reasons, and oh so many more, Vanquish is In Frame Out's worst film of 2021. And those were our bottom 5 films of the year. With that, it's time to say goodbye to another 365 days, and move on to all the fresh delights and miserable moments 2022 has to offer. A shout out to our Patreon producers Jennifer C, Claire MD, Becky O and Nicholas Slayer Revere, and all the love in the world to these amazing folks who support us over on Patreon. Did you manage to catch any of these turkeys? If so, what did you think of them, and what are your personal least favourite films of 2021? Let us know in the comments, and make sure you leave us a message down below, click the like button and share this video wherever you can. It really helps us out a lot. If you're in a position to do so, consider checking out our Patreon, where you can get a membership to the In Frame Out Film Club, your name in the credits, and access to our private Discord. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, this is In Frame Out.